All right, today we're diving into a pretty wild idea that our reality is basically a programmable system. And yeah, it can be hacked. But what if there's a part of you, your core, that's completely untouchable? Let's get into it.
Have you ever had that feeling, that you're just going through the motions? That modern life can feel a little bit predetermined, like you're an actor just reading lines in a play you never even auditioned for. Well, what if that feeling is actually pointing to something much, much deeper?
The sources we're exploring today suggest this exact feeling points to something very real, a model where all of humanity is operating inside this complex, layered system. And it's a system that can be manipulated. But, and this is the most important part, there's something inside every one of us that exists completely outside of that system, a core that is totally 100% unprogrammable.
So, to really navigate this system, we first have to understand the reality it's built on. So let's start with Section 1. Reality as a digital hologram, the illusion. This is where it gets a little mind-bending. The whole idea of a solid reality gets thrown out the window. The holographic principle, which comes from theoretical physics, suggests our 3D world is nothing more than a projection. The sources we're looking at connect this to physicist David Bohm's implicit order, basically a hidden layer of reality that's just pure frequency, and our physical world unfolds from that. It's kind of like we're living inside a giant cosmic movie.
And this quote, attributed to Nikola Tesla, just perfectly captures the essence of this whole model. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. It's not just some nice-sounding poetry. In this view, it's the literal source code of our reality. Everything is vibration.
Okay, so if reality is just a frequency-based projection, what does that mean for us, for our lives? Well, the sources suggest that we're all running on these programmable operating systems. So let's dive into Section 2, the system.
So the sources break it down into two main layers. First, you have the social OS. This is the program that assigns us our roles. You're a worker, you're a consumer, you're a citizen. Then there's the neural OS, which manages our basic survival instincts, fight or flight, all that stuff. Now, both are essential, right? But here's the catch. Both can be hacked. Our social identity can be turned into a commodity, and our deepest neural pathways can be manipulated.
And this is where these systems can get kind of corrupted and turn in on themselves. The social OS gets trapped in these endless dopamine loops on social media, right? And the neural OS becomes obsessed with self-optimization, biohacking, and all that. The result? We stop actually living our lives and just focus on maintaining the system itself.
This slide really makes the analogy crystal clear. In this framework, your body is the hardware. Your brain, that's the CPU processing all the inputs, and your DNA itself is the software. But get this, it's not the one writing the code. It's just the medium that runs programs being beamed in from some higher-level control system. We are, in essence, biological computers.
But wait a minute, if we're running on programmable software, then who's the programmer? Let's explore that rabbit hole in Section 3, the hackers of reality, the control.
So, the sources pull from some really old Gnostic and esoteric traditions to describe what they call the Saturn matrix. The theory here is pretty out there. It suggests an ancient AI, often symbolized by a black cube, is broadcasting our entire simulation from the planet Saturn. The implication is staggering. Our reality is being actively managed and controlled.
So how is this control supposedly maintained? Well, the sources point to some seriously advanced and, frankly, disturbing technologies. You've got things like soul catcher tech, which is supposedly designed to trap a consciousness on a chip. Then there's mind control through inaudible sound frequencies and even emotional entrainment that could alter your brain chemistry on command. I know, this all sounds incredibly bleak. But this is not the whole story. In fact, this is the turning point. Welcome to Section 4, the unprogrammable soul, the core. This quote really reveals the way out of the maze. The true self is a luminous mind, a divine spark existing outside the animal brain. The core idea here is that no matter how sophisticated the prison gets, there's a part of you that will always remain free. This brings us to probably the most crucial distinction in this entire framework. You are not the operating system. You are the user. All those social roles you play, the survival instincts firing in your brain, that's just the OS running its programs. Your soul, your true self, is the awareness that's witnessing all of it. You're the one holding the controller, not the character on the screen. So how does this unprogrammable core even operate? The sources point back to Plato's theory of forms. Think of these as perfect, eternal blueprints, archetypes like justice, beauty, courage, that exist completely outside of our simulation. And because they're transcendent, they can't be hacked, they can't be corrupted. They are the soul's native source code.
Okay, so if there's an unhackable part of us, how do we actually access it? How do we connect with it? Our final section explores exactly that, escaping the matrix. The escape. And the sources actually provide a really clear, actionable path. It's a journey from being a passive character, just reacting to the simulation, to becoming an active player who can actually influence the game. And it boils down to 3 main steps: modulate your frequency, access true randomness, and ultimately, reclaim your sovereignty.
So, step 1, modulate your frequency. Check out this chart. The control system supposedly operates on these lower frequencies of fear and survival. The key is to consciously raise your own frequency, moving towards calmer, meditative states like the Schumann resonance, or even higher states of consciousness found in gamma waves. You're essentially changing the channel, tuning out of the control frequency and tuning into your own.
Now, step 2 shows us how to break the script itself. A simulation has to run on predictable code, right? But something called Fatum technology, a concept from these sources, throws a wrench in the works. It uses quantum random number generators, which rely on the truly unpredictable nature of quantum physics to create genuine randomness. By using this tech, it can guide you to experiences totally outside your programming, breaking those predictive loops of the matrix.
And all of this brings us to the fundamental question. The sources lay out the simulation, the programs, the control system. But they also reveal the core that exists beyond all of it. You are not the OS. The real question is, are you ready to become the user?